When I was around 3 or 4 years old, my older sister, she's 1 year older than me, she was learning the alphabet. And I remember my mom teaching her about the letters in the alphabet. And my sister sang the ABC song over and over and over again, like for weeks. And I learned that song by listening, to her sing it, but I hadn't seen the letters yet. And I remember when she sang that song, by like maybe the third or fourth time I heard that song in about a 10-minute window, I realized I understood that the sounds that she was saying were in words that I had heard, sounds I had heard before. I didn't know all the words, but I knew what the sounds were familiar from the ABC song. Like A was an apple, and B was in boy, and C was in cat, and D was in dog. And I knew that because I could hear those sounds in those words. But there was a mysterious letter that I couldn't find in any word that I had heard ever. And it was called elemenopee. And when she would sing that letter, elemenopee, I was like, what kind of letter is elemenopee? I was like, first of all, it's 5 different sounds. And second of all, it's longer than every other letter. And what kind of word would exist in the world that would have a letter that long? And what would that word mean? Like, what is a word that would have elemenopee in it? And I was confused because every other letter was so short. And I spent about 6 months hunting for elemenopee everywhere, hunting on TV. I would watch, there was only like 5 channels back then, but I would like watch TV and I would change the channel looking for elemenopee and couldn't find it. Change the channel, change the channel, change the channel. I listened to the radio the same way. I would listen to conversations, listening for elemenopee. And maybe 6 months on this hunt for elemenopee, 6 months later, somehow I came across the ABC book. I don't think I realized it was a book because I was listening. I wasn't there. And but I saw this book, the ABC book, and I started reading it, and I was like A B C D. I got to L, and I was like, whoa. I was like ladder. I was like, oh. It's like, what's that letter? Oh. And I was like M, and my first name is Mark, which starts with an M. And I conceptually like knew that, but I didn't know where the letter was. And still, I was like, oh, that's where M is. And I still didn't put it together until I got to P. And I got to P, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, they're separate letters. You just sing them that way. And that was a good lesson in life in terms of the idea that you don't know what you don't know. And it's easy to misunderstand things, especially with words.